So Fairy Tale 301, I definitely got to start off by saying that this was a very interesting, suspenseful, and intriguing chapter. Forgive me because I sound a little sick because I got a cold. But so far this chapter, I got to say that it really just had a lot in it. It was we get this dragon because Wendy summons the dragon. His name is Zircones, also known as the Dragon of Jade. And I was very excited because I thought it was going to be a while before she summoned, did her little Milky Way magic to talk to the spirits. But it was pretty interesting that we got that in this particular chapter. And this dragon was kind of funny because you would think that he's coming and he's just going to be just a stubborn bastard or whatever. But he was actually kind of funny. He was like, I hate humans and, I wouldn't mind eating you guys. And he tells the tale of what happened 400 years ago. And automatically I was kind of intrigued to see what happened. But there's also a couple things you could kind of look into a little bit. So basically he says that 400 years ago, dragons reigned supreme. They ruled over humans. They just ate humans. And then one day a dragon questioned them, like, is this right? Shouldn't we coexist with humans? And a big war broke out. Eventually, the dragons that were trying to protect the humans taught the humans magic in order to defeat dragons, and that's how Dragon Slayers was born. That was very interesting to find out because for a while now, I was always like, why would dragons teach humans that? But that also leads to question, like 7 years ago, they were teaching humans again. So was this in preparation for another war? Did people like Igneel and all the people that taught, Wendy, Gajiel, and whatnot, did they teach them their magic in preparation for another war? So maybe the dragons already knew. Maybe the dragons were dealt with beforehand because they didn't want the history repeating itself. Whoever did this and got rid of the dragons 7 years ago. Just a thought. And basically, we also found out in this chapter, which was very interesting to me. I was like, whoa, the Acnologia, the beast himself, was actually once a human. Well, according to Zircones, he says that the Acnologia, he was a human and he bathed in so much dragon blood. He was actually even scared of the Acnologia, which shows just how terrifying this guy's power is, or this dragon, or whatever you want to call it, its power. He was like that. He bathed in so much dragon blood that he eventually became a dragon, and he became the king of dragons. Pretty freaking crazy. I was just like, whoa. Now, the thing about it is, I remember a couple chapters back, there was, I forgot exactly what it was, but it was like a scripture or something. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was a drawing, and you saw somebody with Natsu's scarf fighting a dragon. Now, why didn't, if that was like Natsu's ancestor and that scarf was passed down to generations, or maybe some people even said it was Natsu himself, but he doesn't remember it, why didn't Zircones recognize him? Because you would assume that whoever it was with the scarf was legendary. So why didn't Zircones remember him? Unless when Zircones was about to talk, because Zircones says something like, "Because of you, I was," and then he disappears. Now, he could have been talking to Natsu himself. He could have been talking about the dragons. He could have been talking about humans. But either way, it still was interesting because we saw that, I forget exactly what chapter it was, and it was like somebody with a scarf fighting a dragon on a tablet. Not a tablet, like an ancient scripture or something like that. And why didn't he recognize Natsu immediately or say where you got that scarf from or anything? So that was interesting. And overall, this chapter was just really crazy because then it ends up with that white knight guy. I forget his name, but he comes with Yukino, and he's like, that's impossible. And he says, although most of the facts that the dragon said, Zircones, was correct, he said that it was actually Zeruf that turned the Acnologia and Deliora, I forget how you say it, I think it's Deliora, something like that, but that Zeruf turned them into what they were, those beasts that they became. And I'm like, do we trust this guy? Because why would the Zircones dragon lie? Unless the Zircones dragon was just talking like some bullshit that he didn't really quite understand correctly. But I think it's too hard to trust this guy. He seems too evil. Like, he just has this really bad vibe of him. And the fact that Yukino's with him, I still say that Yukino is being tricked into thinking whatever he's saying. Oh, we're going to rescue, we're going to kill Zeruf. Because Zeruf, outside of when he seemingly awoke towards the end before the time skip, he didn't look so bad. So, I don't know. For me personally, I think that he just wants to deal with Zeruf so that he could summon whatever, or start a war himself and become maybe like, he wants to become the Dragon King. I can't wait to see the Acnologia again after this chapter, finding out that he's a man. And it kind of begs the question, why did he not want to speak with humans if he was once a human? Maybe he resents humans now because he kind of wishes he wasn't a dragon. Because remember, it was like he understands humans, but he looks down upon them. So that was interesting as well. If you think back to that moment, and also the fact that the Acnologia, when he comes back, is going to be a real big fight because if I'm correct, he wasn't even fighting with his full strength against any of them. So when he does come back, it's going to be freaking amazing. Really interesting, intriguing, and suspenseful chapter. Once again, definitely recommend you go check it out. A lot of like even at the very end, it says a lot of the dots are going to start to connect with a line because a lot of the mysteries of fairy tale, like as far as the dragons go, is slowly getting revealed. And I definitely enjoyed reading this chapter and finding out a little bit more with Zircones. And I hope we get to see him again because he was kind of funny. And if somehow the dragons do get revived or they get brought back from wherever they are, the ones from 7 years ago, like Igneel and whatnot, it's going to be crazy because I think the Acnologia is probably even far surpassed them in strength. But maybe the Acnologia himself was the one that got rid of the dragons because they were training humans and whatnot. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think that the dragons knew that there would be a war coming soon, and that's why they started training people like Natsu, Wendy, Gajeel, and whatnot? Or do you think it's something else? And what are your whole thoughts on this whole thing with um, Zerov creating the Acnologia or turning the Acnologia into a dragon, or do you think that like this guy's suspicious? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Was Zirconis telling the truth, or did the White Knight guy seemingly like he was trying to fudge it up? To me, he looked suspicious, but let me know what you think. And your overall thoughts of the chapter. Did you find it as suspenseful as I did? Because I think it was pretty solid. Like I would give it a 5 out of 5 if I had to give it a rating because it definitely just had me like, oh man, I can't wait to find out more. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to find out more about these mysteries with the dragons and see what happens with this tournament because the tournament is currently kind of like on a standby. So I kind of just want to see if they're going to finish it up or exactly what's going to happen. Maybe history has been changed because of that person coming from the future. So we won't even get an end to this tournament. Yeah, but that's all I have. I'm ForneverWorld. And as always, people, have an awesome day.